Oh shit. Hi, I've gotten a lot of requests from people wanting to know how I learned to solo, and although this information might not be of any help or practical use to anyone, a bunch of people have asked, and the P key on my laptop is broken, so I thought I might as well just do it this way. So I've got the whiskey shakes really bad right now, I'm sorry. It's really difficult to tease out all the individual things that went into how you play now, but I've spent about a week trying to just remember a lot of my early stuff, and one thing that I keep coming back to is a video that me and my friend Jake made. And one movie that we made was called Pickett's Last Gig, and in it I played, we improvised the whole thing. And in it I made up this, this blues that still looks good to this day. It was something like this. How did it go? Something like that. So I guess what I'm trying to say here, and it wasn't anything like that, it was actually much better than that, but it was just this really generic attempt at impersonating what I thought, you know, the blues sounded like. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is one of the things I started with was actually the blues scale. I come from my whole family's always been into music, and I tried to learn everything as a child, and nothing clicked with me. Like I was one of those kids who took, you know, a year of, you know, saxophone, a year of drums, a year of guitar, couldn't stick with anything, and just didn't seem to get it, and I thought I never would. But when I turned 14, I realized that I was watching, you know, 12 hours of TV a day and just sitting on my ass, and I really realized I was wasting my life. So I got this program, taught me how to read music. It was designed for children, which I found incredibly helpful because it didn't move at, you know, a really difficult pace, and I could actually understand it. And I started picking out stuff from lead sheets, like just tunes that I knew, like Scarborough Fair and Eleanor Rigby, just playing the melody line because I didn't really have the chops, and I didn't even know how to play any scales, and it took me another year of begging my parents to let me go take piano lessons so I could get, you know, better. I knew I wanted to play some type of jazz. I had this idea of the sound of stride in my head, I don't know from where. And I didn't have a name for it, which made it really difficult to even, you know, get into it. To this day, I can't figure out how I knew what I wanted to play before I actually had heard it. Like, anyway, it's weird. So I ended up taking classical lessons for 4 years with a very thorough, very pedantic, very wonderful old man, God rest his soul, Roger Bushell. And he was very intense on theory, which is probably what saved me, because through him I learned, you know, all the basics of harmony. I learned, you know, and scale degrees, and made me arpeggiate everything. And actually, I'm just like a hollow, empty shell of what I used to do when I was serious about classical piano, because I thought I wanted to learn to play Rhapsody in Blue. It turned out that that wasn't really what I wanted to do. And I became fascinated with lead sheets around that time because I was learning how to play ragtime, which I liked, and I still do like, but I like stride so much more. And although there's no time and I have no interest in going into the differences, in trying to debate the differences between ragtime and stride, and will always avoid that conversation because I've just been through it so many fucking times now that it's silly. I found the process of learning a full classical piece, learning an arrangement of almost anything, to be really less satisfying than being able to learning to play 100 lead sheets in that same amount of time and being able to come up with my own arrangements. So, what I started with, let's see, what do I have here? Yeah, World's Waiting for the Sunrise. This is a good tune, this is a good example. What I started with was just chords in root position, and I would learn to play the tune, and I would just, learn the easiest voicings I could for the chords, which, because of Roger and my classical training, I understood chord symbols, so it'd be like, just do that for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours at a time. Eventually I got to the point where I could do root chord, which is basically what I still do. I'm very ashamed to admit that. About 2 years ago, when my stride chops were really at their peak and I was still practicing a lot instead of just playing, I used a lot of different voicings and stuff, but pretty much everything that I do now is just basically root chords. So it's, be like 1, 2, 3, 4. For some reason, talking about this shit makes me really nervous about playing. But anyway. Yeah, and I knew the blues scale, which I picked out by ear once I learned how to read music from that program before I started taking classical lessons. I didn't know what it was. Like, I thought I basically fucking invented it, because, that's how it goes. And so the two things that I would play a lot before I started taking classical lessons were stuff like this. I came up with this walking bass line. I invented that. Yeah, whatever. And I would just try to solo over that for hours and hours and hours. So it'd be like, And what I realized very early on, and this was even before I had an understanding of harmony or of real theory, was that if you ended, if the note you played in your right hand at the end of a phrase was the same as the note you played in your left hand at the end of a phrase, then it would sound okay, and you could actually get through a solo. Like, my early solos would just be trying to get through one course of whatever was on the lead sheet. So it'd be like, I'd play the head, and then at first I would stick closely to the melody, which is something I still do if I feel like I'm getting lost or losing control of a solo. So it'd be like,